Hi, we are on day 5, and we're reading Preparing for Passover, a 14-day devotional for the days from Biblical New Year to Passover by Tina Chen. Day 5, Nile to Blood. Read Exodus 7, verses 1 through 24. Yah said to Moses, "Behold, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh will not listen to you. So I will lay my hand on Egypt, and bring out my armies, my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. The Egyptians shall know that I am Yah, when I stretch out my hand on Egypt and bring the children of Israel out from among them." Moses and Aaron did so. As Yah commanded them, so they did. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. Yah spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "When Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, 'Perform a miracle,' then you shall tell Aaron, 'Take your rod and cast it down before Pharaoh, and it will become a serpent.'" Moses and Aaron went in to Pharaoh, and they did so, as Yah had commanded. Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called for the wise men and the sorcerers. They also, the magicians of Egypt, did the same thing with their enchantments. For they each cast down their rods, and they became serpents, but Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he didn't listen to them, as Yah had spoken. Yah said to Moses, "Pharaoh's heart is stubborn. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning. Behold, he is going out to the water. You shall stand by the river's bank to meet him. You shall take the rod which was turned to a serpent in your hand. You shall tell him, 'Yah, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness.' Behold, until now you haven't listened. Yah says, 'In this you shall know that I am Yah. Behold, I will strike with the rod that is in my hand on the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. The fish that are in the river will die, and the river will become foul. The Egyptians will loathe to drink water from the river.' Yah said to Moses, 'Tell Aaron, take your rod, and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, over their streams, and over their pools, and over all their ponds of water, that they may become blood. There will be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone.' Moses and Aaron did so, as Yah commanded, and he lifted up the rod and struck the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. The fish that were in the river died. The river became foul. The Egyptians couldn't drink water from the river. The blood was throughout all the land of Egypt. The magicians of Egypt did the same thing with their enchantments. So Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he didn't listen to them, as Yah had spoken. Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and he didn't even take this to heart. All the Egyptians dug around the river for water to drink, for they couldn't drink the river water. 7 days were fulfilled after Yah had struck the river. Because Moses was not willing to allow Yah to fully free him from his insecurities about not being a good speaker, Yah in his mercy sent Moses' older brother Aaron to help Moses fulfill his calling by being his spokesman. And even before the first plague, Yah began his onslaught on the gods of Egypt. In one of Moses and Aaron's first encounters with Pharaoh, they were told to have Aaron throw down his staff in front of Pharaoh so that it would become a snake. Pharaoh's magicians then threw their staffs down, and they also turned into snakes. But Aaron's staff/snake swallowed all of theirs. Bible scholars disagree on whether the magicians' staffs/snakes were actually supernatural, of demonic origin, or whether the magicians were performing a kind of snake charming that is still done today with Egyptian cobras. But the effect was the same, either way. Snakes were revered and worshipped in Egypt as symbols of wisdom and life that gave magic virtues to the pharaoh. When Aaron's staff/snake swallowed theirs, it was a portent of doom for the Egyptians. A representative snake of Yahweh swiftly devoured one of Egypt's national symbols that was seen as the giver of authority to their pharaoh. Yah was very clearly declaring his intentions in this encounter. Next, Aaron was told by Yah through Moses to strike the water of the Nile River with the very same staff that had devoured those of the Egyptians, and to reach the staff out over all the waters of Egypt, and they would be turned to blood. Water is essential for all life, and the Nile was the heartbeat of Egypt. Trade, commerce, and crops all depended on the Nile. But instead of being thankful to Yah, who had created the Nile, the Egyptians had made it a central part of their pagan religious life. They believed it was the lifeblood of one of their gods, and attributed its inundations that made their land so fertile to yet another god. I will not be naming specific Egyptian gods in this devotional for two reasons. First, I do not wish to give them any honor by learning and teaching their names. Second, scholars a whole lot smarter than me disagree on which parts of Egypt called which god what name at which time, and that is beyond the scope of this devotional, nor do I really care. Our goal is to understand how the people of this time were looking to created things to satisfy their needs and desires, and how Yah responded to that idolatry in the days leading up to Passover. As Romans 1:25 describes it, the Egyptians, and probably many of the Israelites, had exchanged the truth of Yah for lies by worshiping and serving created things, in this case the Nile, rather than the Creator Yah himself. They looked to the Nile and the gods they associated with it for sustenance, prosperity, fertility, life, and joy, rather than looking to their Creator Yah for those things. With this plague, Yah showed them unequivocally that the Nile and its gods had no power of their own to provide them with those things. With just the touch of Aaron's staff, symbolizing Yah's authority, all those things were gone in an instant, because it was and is Yah alone who holds those things and can give them. So what about us? Where are we looking for prosperity and sustenance? Who do we believe is in control of our fertility? Who or what do we see as the source of our joy, wisdom, and life? The power encounter with the staffs/snakes and the first plague on the Nile should teach us that if we are looking anywhere other than to Yah for those things, they could be gone in the blink of an eye. He is the only lasting source of life and joy, and we will find ourselves facing dire consequences if we look to find them anywhere